Hey, it's Roger. Thanks for joining me again on the show. Today's episode is all about getting the most from your people. It's about the dynamic between front of house and back of house and leading both teams for mutual teamwork and respect. It's about what you expect people to bring to the table as a new recruit and how we mentor and shadow those to best performance. We talk about recognition rewards, up-leveling team spirit and morale. This one has it all. My guest, Chef Daniel Lugo, is the food and beverage director for the beautiful Wyndham Palmas Beach and Golf Boutique Resort in Puerto Rico. And again, it's all about labor challenges. It's about leadership, company culture. We're going to hit all those bases today, so don't miss it. Stay tuned. If you like what you're hearing, we'd so appreciate you leaving us a positive review. It'll help other restaurateurs, managers, leaders, and staff in the restaurants to find us and learn. We're all about best practices and teamwork, respect, guest service, hospitality, finance, anything that'll help you improve your business. So please, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me, Roger, R-O-G-E-R, at restaurantrockstars.com. Now, on with the episode.
You're tuned in to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. Powerful ideas to rock your restaurant. Here's your host, Roger Bodwin.
Your restaurant team is the foundation of your business and most important asset. I know from experience that a happy team is a productive team that deliver great guest service experiences. Morale is the key. Check out myemployees.com/hospitality. My Employees offers impactful, consistent, and most of all, appreciated recognition programs that boost morale, reduce turnover, and drive guest satisfaction. My Employees is the industry benchmark, helping thousands of hospitality leaders build winning teams. Go to myemployees.com/hospitality. Lily's Fresh Pasta refuses to compromise on quality. This family-owned business, built on time-honored traditions passed down from Lily to her son Antonio, lives on with every batch. Lily's Fresh Pasta is made to European standards using 100% non-GMO, glyphosate-free Italian unbleached wheat. Lily's is served in the finest restaurants in America. I've had Lily's Fresh Pasta many times, and I can tell you it's always molto buono. Elevate your menu. Serve Lily's Fresh Pasta in your restaurant. Ask your local food service representative or call Antonio directly at 603-818-2100 and be sure to follow Lily's on Instagram at Lily's Fresh Pasta. Welcome back to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. Thanks for being with us. And Chef, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Doing good, Roger. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here today. Let's dive in because this restaurant industry is struggling with the labor challenge ever since the pandemic, and so many restaurants across the country are really struggling with that. Have you had any labor challenges? And if so, how are you solving those?
Yes, definitely. The pandemic, in my opinion, changed the industry. It's not only harder to hire people. My main issue, I would say I have two challenges. It's everybody's competing right now, raising the rates. So it's hard for us as managers to know when to stop and draw the line and say, no, I'm not going to focus on rates. I'm going to focus on the quality of training that I'm going to give my employees. And maybe I'm not going to hire people with that much experience, but we are going to take the right attitude route and focus and invest a little bit more in our employees, a little bit more time in training them, but essentially it's even better than having somebody with experience.
That's good. My next question was going to be, do you hire for experience or do you really prefer to look for people that have the right attitude and approach to the job and then you train? Do you consider yourself a training kitchen?
Yes. So I consider myself to be a very hands-on chef and leader. I like to be with my staff members, not only help them out, but teach them how to do it. I found that's the most efficient way of teaching someone rather than telling them what to do, show them what to do.
Great. So you consider yourself a mentor. Do people, I should say new recruits, people that you just bring into the organization with or without experience, are there other leaders in your business that they shadow to get best practices from different people in the kitchen? maybe learn different stations also? Is there cross-training?
Yes, that's a very important part of our hiring process, essentially for managers. When I hire managers, I make sure that during that first month of a transitioning, if it's a front of house manager, they run every station of the kitchen or every position of front of the house and vice versa. When I hire chefs, I make sure they work they shadow a server, they shadow a busser, they shadow the dishwashers, they shadow each line cook. That way they know the whole operation. And they're not only better managers, they're better leaders because they're understanding the front of the house way of viewing things.
Do you set clear expectations with a new hire? Is there a formal job description, that sort of thing? Do they understand what you expect just before they start shadowing other people or really take on shifts?
Yes, we do set a high expectation and we always have job descriptions. Of course, we know in this industry, we, we make it happen. In my type of culture, in the type of culture that I like to set in my restaurant, it's every employee is empowered to own the situation. It doesn't matter if, for example, you're a cook in a hotel, for example, and that the lobby floor it's wet. You're not gonna wait to call somebody from housekeeping. If you know where the mop is, go ahead and own the situation and do it yourself. So that's why we do have very specific guidelines and expectations and job descriptions, but we all know in this industry, you gotta own it and make it happen.
That's terrific. Whatever it takes. And you notice something, if it's a hazard, or if it's a dangerous situation, or just something that needs to be taken care of, you've got the overlap and the team know we're accountable for that. That's important.
Yes.
Do you have any disciplinary issues from time to time? We have a variety of people that work in restaurants, but what if you've got a clear job description, how do you maintain accountability so that people might be doing their job well for a couple of weeks and then all of a sudden you notice the performance is sliding? What's your approach to that?
My approach is always, I do believe in disciplinary actions like coaching, verbal warnings, and written warnings, but it needs to be consistent and you need to, on a daily basis, make sure that the staff knows the expectations. I'm a big believer in setting cooks aside whenever they made a mistake or etc., setting them aside at the end of the shift and coach them like, hey, you should have done this, or you could have done this better, etc. But it's very important, us as leaders always focus on the negatives. And we're very quick to set cook aside to tell them when they're doing something wrong, but we always forget to do it when they're doing something right. I find that when I do the same when they're doing something right, they feel they feel like they're in the right place, they feel valuable to the team, and that just sets like the team for success. Because if we only focus on the negatives, there's gonna come a time that they're just gonna crash and burn mentally, and it's very important to highlight the good things as well.
Yeah, that's also a confidence builder, and people definitely work for a paycheck, but they thrive on praise, and they love to know that they're contributing and that their contributions are valuable. So I love that you mentioned that. Are you spending lots of time on the line yourself? Are you still a working chef because that's your love, or are you pulled in different directions? What's a typical day like for you?
So right now, I'm gonna say unfortunately, because I do like to be in the line and with the cooks and all the crew. Unfortunately, right now I'm an executive chef of a hotel and food and beverage director as well. So I am getting pulled different directions. I wear many hats right now, but I always try to do my rounds and make sure at least twice a day I do touch the line. Very important. I make sure that I say hi to all of my employees, dishwashers, bussers, cooks, everyone. And when I leave the shift, I make sure that I say bye to all the staff members as well.
Wow, that's respect right there. That's teamwork and respect. I like that as well. That's a great approach. What do you look for when you have a new hire or you're looking for someone to bring into the organization, whether they have experience or not? What do you expect they're going to bring to the table just to be successful in your hotels, in your organization?
Like I said before, I like to focus on attitude, but the most important part is that they're coachable.
There we go.
There's a lot of people that, and I find that a lot with experienced employees, they think they know it all and they're kind of like stuck in their own old ways. With people that are coachable, yeah, you can shape them your own way. After the pandemic, it has been very difficult, but every now and then I found little gems that I really find joy in training them and trying to instill as much knowledge as I can in them. Right now, I just hired, like within the last 6 months, have 2 team members that I'm very eager to teach them. And to be quite honest, after being in an industry for 18 years, you find motivation in those young cooks. Like you see yourself in them and you spend as much time with them as you can. They ask questions, like you kind of feel young again.
Wow, that's gratifying. Tell us about your history and how did you develop a love for restaurants and cooking and kitchens, and what's your backstory?
Mine might be a little bit different than other chefs. And there's no restaurants owners in my family or nobody that worked in the industry before. My mother is a pharmacist. My father is an electrician. I pretty much got the love from my grandmother. My parents worked a lot. So whenever we got out of school, we would go to my grandmother's house. And I'm the youngest of 3. And I would always go to my grandma's kitchen and she would share all the love that she has for the food. She would teach me recipes. And at first it was like a hobby and I enjoyed it. But as I grew up, that was just the only thing that I saw myself doing. And I felt instead of me choosing, the industry chose me. And when I started culinary arts, when I was 17, I started working at the same time. I had a totally different idea of what the industry was going to be because I had no idea. But when I started working in the restaurants, in the kitchen, I fell in love even more. This was like a totally different world that even I didn't even know about. And I fell in love with the rush, with the teamwork aspect, with everything. It was
fast-paced, the pressure of it all fits in. It's getting through a really difficult shift. I'm hearing all these things. And you see yourself in some of your young team members now, and you take a special interest in them because you remember what it was like coming up. And that's why the mentoring and the shadowing, and you've got a sense of excellence that you try to impart on your team.
Yes, that's through the course of my career. I've had a few mentors that I always respect and I always have them in mind. And I just try to be that person to every cook that I hire. And whether they want it or not, I try to do my best. And when I find those people that I see myself in them, and I see that they're coachable and they're receiving it with grace, I just go even further and go the extra mile. Sometimes I take them out to eat to different restaurants or I make recommendations. If, for example, back in DC, I had a cook that he applied, he had no experience. His parents had restaurants, but he just wanted a job. And to be quite honest, he didn't need a job because their parents were doing well. They were very wealthy, but he just wanted to see if he liked working in a kitchen. And I remember I was a little skeptical, but in that first week, I saw something in him and I kept coaching him. And I remember after 3 months, he said, "Chef, I want to pursue culinary arts. Where do you recommend me studying?" And I was like, oh my God, I made an impact in this young.
Yeah, that's terrific.
I made a recommendation, and a few months after, he went to Johnson & Wales. He had his bachelor's degree, and right now he's working in 2 Michelin star restaurants.
Wow, that is wonderful. How fulfilling that is when someone obviously takes an interest from what you've taught them and your influence on them, and then they want to take it to the next level. And Johnson & Wales, excellent culinary school. I know they were headquartered in Providence, Rhode Island for quite some time. Is that where he went?
Yes.
That's great. Oh, thanks for sharing that story. That speaks a lot about company culture. In restaurants, there's sometimes a division between the front of house and back of house. Can you describe the dynamic in your kitchens? And is there mutual respect? Because sometimes servers are a little hesitant to approach the line when they've got a recook or something and the tickets are on the floor and everything's crazy. And, cooks are under pressure. So how does everyone keep cool, and describe that culture between those two?
Yeah, that culture is very hard to maintain both ways. Now that I'm a
Boiling pot. Yeah.
yeah, now that I'm a food and beverage manager, I can be in both sides. But it's very important that both sides respect each other. Servers need to respect the kitchen and the way they approach the kitchen when the ticket is taking too long. And cooks need to also respect servers, runners. It's a full circle.
Absolutely.
How do I approach it? I always ask them, like, if you were in their shoes, how would you feel? And often they're like, oh, okay. So they get it and we move forward.
Terrific. Are there any team building exercises or things that you do with the whole team in your organization, whether it's inside the restaurant, pre-shifts perhaps, or outside the restaurant where the restaurant goes 24/7, of course, in the hotels, but it's very hard to get everyone together. But does anything like that happen, or is it still pretty much separate?
Yeah, so we do pre-shifts every day, 2 times a day, one for the morning shift, one for the PM shift. We do it front of the house and back of the house. That way everybody is on the same boat. I find that just to a team building process, I like to do a lot of shout outs, not only from the front of the house, because let's be honest, most of they mentioned the front of the house.
It's true.
Like, for example, Juan did an excellent job in my table. We do shout outs, but I try to do shout outs as well in the kitchen, whether it's let's do a shout out for Jose because he came in on his day off or he's covering another team member, stuff like that. They really appreciate it.
So describe the shout out. It sounds like it's a recognition for something that they've done that perhaps went above and beyond, or it's just something they did. You caught them doing something right. You wanted the whole team to know. Is everyone present and you just kind of recognize them, or tell us how you do it?
Yeah, I like to do whether all present, different from when you're, for example, you're telling somebody that they did something wrong. I rather do that separately. But when you're giving a shout out, it's very important that you do it while everybody's around. That way they feel that sense of ownership and they feel like proud of what they did.
That's terrific. Fantastic. Do you have responsibility as the food and beverage manager for the financial side and the performance? And if so, is menu costing regularly part of your purview, or is that delegated or empowered to someone else? And inventory, how often? Some of these practices, maintaining cost of goods margins, that sort of thing. Running my restaurants taught me that the right tools move your business forward. So I'm a fan of Touch Bistro. It's more than just a POS, it's an all-in-one restaurant management system built by restaurateurs. Touch Bistro helps speed up service, reduce errors, and turn tables faster, while loyalty programs, online ordering, and contactless payments boost your bottom line. Plus, real-time analytics, inventory tracking, and staff scheduling are game changers. Want to learn more? Reach out to my friend Becky at BTARTICK@touchbistro.com or give her a call at 647-360-3994. She'll give you the full scoop and take great care of you. Restaurants sell tons of fried food, and your customers love it. But the hassles, hazards, and mess of fryer oil, cleaning hoods, and all that grease, you can forget all that with Restaurant Technologies. They deliver your oil, filter it, monitor usage, collect and recycle your waste cooking oil. Their AutoMist system automates your hood and flue cleaning, eliminating the fire risk. As a Restaurant Technologies customer, you'll also save 10 to 15% in your insurance premiums. Plus, get a bonus for new customer referrals. Get started at rti-inc.com or call 866-399-3639.
So I'm responsible for all those. I do like to collaborate and delegate with my sous chefs and my front house managers. For example, whenever we're changing menu, we need to cost out all the recipes before. Why? Because I like to use them for menu engineering programs. For example, One of the issues that we're having right now, especially with prices going up, is price perception.
Oh, yes.
So guests might not see that, for example, these 8-ounce filet cost us like almost $20 a pound. Like they feel, it's only 8 ounces. They're charging me $60. Oh my God. There's ways that you, by having a menu engineering, there's ways that you can lower the price, but using other dishes that are more profitable, you raise the price $1 on those profitable dishes. That will mitigate the hit that you're getting from a very expensive dish that you need to lower the price. Then inventory, for example, my sous chefs do inventory. I'm the one that enters the numbers, and then front of the house, same thing. And then just in charge of all that. Labor as well. We have our monthly goals, our budget. Then I do a forecast of where I think we're going to land revenue-wise. And then from the revenue, I know how much I can spend on labor.
What are some of your most popular dishes that the customers just love? Are they your creations as well? Or are they tried and true that have been on the menu forever? Maybe it's a combination.
It's a combination. So right now I just changed the entire menu of my main restaurant. So they're all my dishes. I found that the most popular ones were the dishes that have like a meaningful story. For example, I have my favorite dish from my grandmother from my childhood. I did my own version of it, and I found that if the dish has a story behind it, usually sells more because the server does a better job of explaining it, then the guest has a better engagement with it, and usually those are the best sellers.
That makes sense. Are there menu descriptions, or do your team know the menu so well that they bring those things to life for the guests and they make these recommendations?
So usually there's slightly menu descriptions, and I do a menu matrix for my servers to make sure that they have all the stories behind it, the allergies, the ingredients, and etc. But the cool thing I did with this restaurant, if you don't mind me shouting out the restaurant,
share.
is called Trova.
Yes.
Trova comes from trovadores. They are singers that they tell stories through the power of their music. And in this concept, I'm telling stories through the power of the food. And in the menu, I have the name of the ingredient, I apologize, the name of the dish,
yes,
the ingredients, and then a little paragraph with the story of the dish, whether
Wonderful.
It's a story from my childhood or a story of Puerto Rico with that dish, or a story of or where I got the inspiration. That's been very helpful, and people have been very adamant, like they've loved it, and it's very fun for them.
That brings personality to the restaurant, and that's brand building to me. And if you can make something feel so special and so unique and different, the customer relates to that, and they love the stories, and it'll help them order certain dishes. So you can guide them to certain profitable dishes, perhaps. But I think a story is very important, and I love that you're bringing the culture and the heritage into it as well. Is it all Latin inspired, or is there any American favorites on there too?
So Trova is all Puerto Rican inspired, but I do use some ingredients from all around the world, because since I was doing it very personal, I've worked in Spanish restaurants, Peruvian restaurants. So I wanted to, and I've traveled to those countries, I wanted to incorporate some of those ingredients into Puerto Rican dishes and make it my own. And it's been very fulfilling for me, for my chef part of my job. That's been like my creative outlet, which as a chef is very important to have a balance of creativity plus being able to manage your business.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. You're bringing me back to my childhood. I think I was 10 years old, and I went to San Juan, and we walked the streets, old San Juan. We went to the El Morro Fortress, and I can still remember it as if it was yesterday. And just the culture of the people and the food and how important that is, and sharing. And I guess I was pretty impressed. We're all impressionable as little kids, but when you go to a foreign place that you've never been to before and you just immerse yourself in that culture, I think you absorb a lot. Do you get a chance to go back? Do you have family there still?
Yes. So I just moved back to Puerto Rico. I moved 5 months ago after living in Washington, D.C. for 9 years. I got to move back here to Puerto Rico to wanted to get my own name out there, and I wanted to express myself. And this opportunity came up, and I saw it like a blank canvas for me, like to paint my own story. It's been great to be able to cook for my own people, to create my own brands here in my own country. It's been very personally fulfilling. And I find that when you do projects that you're personally attached on a daily basis, it's just easier to wake up and you're more passionate about.
So you have many tourists from outside, obviously, that come to the hotel, but also people within Puerto Rico as well, or mostly tourists?
Correct. Where I'm working right now, it's in Humacao. It's 40 minutes away from San Juan. So San Juan is mostly tourists.
Of course.
Where I am working right now, it's a good combination. I would say 75% tourists and then the rest locals. On the high season, we do get mostly tourists. And then on the low season, we capitalize with the locals.
Nice. That's terrific. Do you get any time off, or are you constantly working? That's a lot of responsibility as an F&B manager.
Yes. So right now, getting in the rhythm, and I've been able to balance my life. I'm not going to lie, at the beginning, it was very challenging, and I had very little days off. But my philosophy has always been like, work as hard as you can at the beginning, just to make sure that you have everything set up. You set the culture in your team, and then you're able to delegate. And after all the work is done, then you can, I don't want to say relax, but you can step back a little bit and take those days off. And one of the things that I learned from one of my mentors, and it's always stuck with me, is how do you measure a good leader? And you measure it by how well the operation is running without you. So that's always been my goal. I want to take days off. I don't want to have to receive a lot of calls from my other managers or my cooks. If I take a day off and the operation ran the same or better than when I was there, that means that I'm doing a good job.
Well, that's the empowerment piece you were talking about. When you empower others and you can trust them to use really good judgment, then that's your time that you can step away a little bit and know that things are going to keep moving forward and they're going to do what you expect them to do. And the guest experience is going to be as elevated as it would be if you were there. And that's true leadership, what you just said. So I'm really glad that you shared that. Tell us about your time in D.C. You said you were there for 9 years. Did you work in a variety of restaurants? Was it one or two restaurants? And what were those experiences like for you? Were they learning experiences, developing your craft? Tell us.
So I worked with Jose Andres. He's a really world-renowned chef. So I worked in a couple of his restaurants. In DC, he has more than 5 restaurants.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I started in Jaleo, which is one of his Spanish concepts, and it was his first concept. I worked in Saitiña. It was a Mediterranean restaurant through the pandemic. I opened Spanish Diner with him. It was another Spanish concept. And the last one that I worked, it was one of my favorites. It was Peruvian, Chinese, and Japanese. So I working with Jose Andres company, I think it was life-changing, and also really it changed my professional way of viewing things, and it just shaped me into the manager and leader that I am today. It was really a great experience. And not only I learned a lot as a chef, creatively, I really learned a lot of how to manage your business. The great thing about Jose Andres, he would always tell us, treat this restaurant as if you were the owner. Like all the time, he would empower us to make decisions, and he would say, would you do that in your restaurant? And by the last 2 restaurants that I was running, I just felt like every dollar that I was spending was out of my pocket. And I literally treated it like this. So yeah, it's been really great for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. Let me ask you one last question. Now that you're a food and beverage director, you're working front and back of house, and you're dealing with a variety of team members, and you recognize passion in someone. What's your best advice to someone who, with or without a formal education, wants to stay in this business and rise up to a position of leadership and authority themselves? What would you tell those people if they ask you that question?
I always, for example, if I would be able to give myself, my younger self, an advice, I would say have patience, use that passion that you have. And if it's somebody that maybe they haven't gone to culinary arts or they're starting this industry, or it's a server, then they're not necessarily need to have any type of degree or etc. I would just say use that passion, listen to what your leaders need to say, try to learn as much as you can, let the egos outside the door. And my mother used to tell me, I'm going to say it in Spanish, and then I'll try to translate it. My apologies.
Okay. Please do. Share. That's nice.
My mother used to tell me it means there's never enough education. Okay. And education, not only you'll find it in college, like you can buy books, you can go to restaurants, you can work in different places. Try to not only find education in others, try to educate yourself. So it's very important. For example, now that I'm a leader, as a leader, it's very hard to find ways to educate yourself. So I either buy books or I go out to eat. It's very important also for those young staff members to start that self-education, so that when you get to that level, you already know how to educate yourself. Don't expect elders to be educating you all the time. Try to find ways yourself on how to educate you and fulfill that knowledge.
Thank you so much for sharing. Chef, it's been wonderful having you on the show, and you've definitely inspired us, and you've demonstrated a wonderful approach to leading both front and back of house, which is a challenge. So there's clearly teamwork and respect and culture going on, and I wish you the best of success, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Roger.
That was the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. So glad you were with us. Stay tuned, stay well. Thanks to our sponsors this week, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode. See you then. Hey, it's Roger here. Listen, running a restaurant is tough, but making it wildly profitable doesn't have to be. If you're tired of struggling with cash flow, low margins, staff that don't sell, or just feeling overwhelmed, you've got to check out my Restaurant Profit Fast Track. It's inside the Restaurant Academy, and I walk you through exactly how to master your numbers, train a rockstar team, and scale with real profit centers that work. Join now at restaurantrockstars.com/join academy, and unlimited staff accounts are included. Let's start making your restaurant super profitable.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. See you next time.